Nah, this ain't nonsense, this is nonfiction. So excuse if the content is offensive, it's official. Now that we have been acquainted, this is my pleasure, my pain, your entertainment.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy Nonpfixion coming back at you one more time with a brand new reaction. This time it's dealing with the What If series. We saw episode 1 last week. Episode 2 will be hitting just right around the corner. And this is giving us some information about Easter eggs that we more likely we missed in the first episode. And this one is specifically talking about the Tesseract Easter egg. And it's supposed to give, it says it's true history exposed. This is from New Rockstars. Of course, you see that's ERIK VOSS, and we're just to give us another leap into episode 2, which I believe is dealing with the character of T'Challa, or Star-Lord T'Challa. But like I said, it says, "What if Tesseract Easter egg, true history exposed?" And let me see. And I guess there's some hidden translations in the episode that took place that we did miss because it's in a whole other language. Anyways, let's get right to it. Let's check it out. And let me know in the comments, have you been watching, did you watch the first episode 1? 2, are you looking forward to the second episode? 3, did you enjoy the first episode? And did you know that it's also canon to the MCU? That's important. Anyways, let's get right into it. ERIK VOSS, let us know what you found, Professor.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm ERIK VOSS, and the first episode of Marvel Studios' What If presents a branch in the multiverse with an alternate take on Captain America the First Avenger. But one constant among these universes is the Tesseract, which plays a critical new role in this episode that actually tells us a lot about how Marvel plans to chronicle its early history in upcoming titles. I'm going to dive deeper into what I consider to be the most interesting Easter egg from this episode, and try to clear up some questions you might have had about how the Space Stone functioned, like why a teleportation door opened a gateway through time and calamari dimensions. For anyone who might have misinterpreted Loki to think that the MCU was saying all Infinity Stones are paperweights now and we don't need to worry about them anymore, hold on, nope. That was only referring to variant carbon copy versions of Infinity Stones that were confiscated as evidence inside of the TVA, not the original Infinity Stones that still exist on their destined historical path on the sacred timeline. Those are important as ever, because that Infinity Saga history still happened and still needed the Infinity Stones to do it. It's just like how Loki variant L1130 may have been displaced from the sacred timeline, but there was still an original Loki moving forward in normal MCU history. In the case of What If Episode 1, Captain Carter may exist in a separate universe, but the Tesseract and Space Stone inside of that universe are just as dangerous to all of them, and just as important to whatever historical choices they make. Now, in my breakdown of this episode, I pointed out this Italian textbook that Howard Stark opens to explain the Tesseract's power, and I translated the caption beneath it to, "The Tesseract is the true form of the Space Stone," which is a really big deal for the drafters of this textbook to know. Like when Captain America, Howard Stark, Project Pegasus, the Avengers, they were all trading possession of the Tesseract throughout MCU history. They gave no indication that they knew it contained an Infinity Stone, or even that they knew what Infinity Stones were until Thor explained to the Avengers in Age of Ultron in 2015, and then when Thanos cracked open the Tesseract in 2018. But the fact that this textbook is Italian led me to speculate that it could be derived from the other past Italian scholarly text of the Book of Cagliostro from the Sorcerer's Camartage Library, a book that contained pages on the Time Stone in the Eye of Agamotto. So based on that, could represent a group of people who know about Infinity Stones on Earth. But when you look deeper at this textbook page and you translate all the Italian text visible on it, an even more interesting historical context around the Tesseract emerges. Now, the Italian translation is kind of all over the place. Honestly, it seems like someone might have put it in an online translator and then threw it into the animation. But a few things are worth mentioning. The first paragraph ends hilariously with, "Do not let the angry purple guy touch this." Obviously, a warning to keep it away from Thanos. It might have just been a joke thrown in by the animators because it doesn't really match the professorial textbook tone of the rest of it.
So now, I know this is probably meant for a joke, but at the same time, if this is supposed to be reference to a group of people, that knew of the stone's worth and what they can be used to be what they can be used for. Who are they? You know what I'm saying? Like they're speaking in a language that's not foreign to the world, and it's not an alien language, but they know information about the Infinity Stones. So who is it exactly? And they know of Thanos.
Of it. And then at the start of the second paragraph, under the illustration, there's the words, "I love you, Alea," maybe a message from one of the animators to a loved one. Now, I like, but it's also possible that within
Support
the MCU's
Eric Voss
history, the drafters of this textbook knew about the Mad Titan and his lineage to the Eternals and the Celestials, the other ancient cosmic figures that visited Earth. Because further down in the second paragraph, it starts talking about how ancient civilizations recognize the life cycle of Earth and traced back their ancestry, and in doing so realized the differing courses of the stars and their paths across the night sky, and that there might have been some ruler of those heavens, a ruler.
So is this also Marvel's way of giving legitimacy to the Eternals? You know, because for us it's a story that's kind of come out of the blue, but for the world of the MCU, it is giving lineage, giving proof that they existed and they've always been here. Is that kind of what they're doing with this? Because you know this is all canon to the main universe of the MCU. So this group of people were writing about the rules and regulations of the stones, but also talking about, you know, hints at rulers such as the Eternals. This is interesting.
Ruler they describe as celestial, whose kingdom they don't know the location of. Now, of course, this chapter is on the Tesseract, and it's labeled with these Norse runes, which I initially thought was gibberish, but Wordcraft on Instagram was able to translate these into the runic characters Swolio, Perthro, Ansuz, Kenaz, Manaz, and then Swolio, Tiwaz, Othala, Nalthus, and Manaz. And if you were to assume they put in Manaz instead of Ewaz, E for stylistic reasons, it seems like a rough attempt at the words Space Stone. Now, if you assume this is an Italian scholarly work about the ancient Norse peoples and their relationship with the Asgardians, the people who possessed the Tesseract for nearly 1,000 years, this chapter could be telling the story of the people involved in the Battle of Turnsburg in 965 AD. That was in the prologue of the movie Thor, when Odin led the Asgardians to victory over Laufey and the Frost Giants. This is when Odin took infant Loki as his ward, and around the time, Odin brought the Tesseract to Turnsburg to have it hidden in this church. Odin could be that ruler of the stars described in this paragraph, Asgard could be his kingdom, and Thanos, or threats like him, could be the reason Odin hid the Tesseract on Earth. Because we already know from the timeline that the reason Thanos waited to make his move was Odin first had to die. That death was a watershed moment that changed everything across the universe. It allowed Hela to return, and it freed Thanos to be able to attack Xandar to steal the Power Stone, which then led to the rest of his stone quest. Now, our Marvel family tree breakdown explained how both Thanos and the Asgardians were linked to celestial origins, specifically how Thanos' father, Alars, left Earth after a civil war with his brother Zuras, father to the Eternal Athena, and Alars relocated to Titan, where Thanos was born as an Eternal with a deviant gene. Meanwhile, Odin and the Asgardians were created by the Celestials as demigods in a specific celestial mutation cycle, so that the Asgardians take on the names and characteristics imprinted by those who believe in him. In this case, the ancient Norse people of Midgard that the Asgardians fought for. And now this textbook is giving us some context of this cosmic history from the perspective of the people of ancient Norway, and then later transcribed by these Italian scholars. But also notice the detail of these people deifying the earth and naming it, which in Latin-based Italian is Terra. The name galactic sources like the Kree and Xandar, Ego, the Ravagers all call Earth. Their word for it is Terra. And that could have been derived from Odin's link with these Earth-based Latin texts. But the other deeper context we now learned about the Tesseract was Red Skull's obsession with it, which in this What If episode went beyond the live-action Red Skull in the first Cap film. Comparatively, the Tonsberg wood carving is much bigger, and it contains this wooden engraving of the Tesseract in the middle of a portal with tentacles emerging from it. And rather than just wanting the Tesseract to power weapons for Hydra to take over the world, now Red Skull wants to summon an interdimensional champion from beyond space and beyond time. Now, the Space Stone is supposed to only open portals in space, like allowing instant teleportation anywhere, similar to the Bifrost. But one thing we are learning is that between timelines within the multiverse, there's a kind of buffer zone that is beyond space and time, referred to as dimensions or realms, like the Dark Dimension, the Quantum Realm. Since Ant-Man was able to use Pymtech to access the Quantum Realm via spatial manipulation, there wasn't really any further magic beyond that. This would mean the ultimate master over space allows instant portal access to those dimensions that's just beyond our universal barrier. And that would include whatever dimension this tentacle beast comes from. And that dimension, which exists beyond time, is how Captain Carter time dilated 68 years into the future. Similar to how Scott Lang in the Quantum Realm accidentally slipped into one of the time vortexes in there and jumped ahead 5 years. Ultimately, this episode of What If proved that there is still so much history left to uncover surrounding these Infinity Stones, in terms of who bore them, who knew about them, and what that led those characters to do. In a few days, I'll be back to break down episode 2 of What If, and I'm so excited to learn more stuff about the cosmic side of this Marvel Cinematic Multiverse. You can support New Rockstars by checking out our merch options at newrockstarsmerch.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at EAVOSS. Follow and subscribe to New Rockstars. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Yes, please follow this man. Follow this crew, New Rockstars. They do a great job breaking down all the information dealing with Marvel. It's an amazing job, trust me. Been watching them for years. So, really interesting the breakdown that he did and how the language is reversed to a not primitive culture, but to a group of people that knew of not just Celestials, but Eternals and Thanos and Asgardians and the Infinity Stones. And they knew all this information. And it's actually pretty cool because now we see how What If is being used to it's not only being used to show us the multiverse, it's also being used to show us more and more information about the little things. So even if you're not like an avid comic book reader, if you watch the little things we have, all the TV shows from Disney Plus, and including this, it will give you more of that blueprint so you understand how the Marvel Cinematic Universe is how it comes together. This is going to be really interesting how deep it goes, especially to the point like after the first episode where we have, Peggy Carter, who basically becomes Captain America but for Britain. And now it's rumored that her character is supposed to come to live action. So it's just like it's so funny how Marvel plans so far in advance. And who knows, like from these TV series, from these episodes, what's gonna come out of it to go into the live action and what's gonna stay in the cartoons. And they're doing a season 2, so it can go so in depth because this allows them to do the other stories, other characters that people always wanted to have on the big screen, but probably won't get because there's not enough time or to tell their story. But their stories can be told on Disney Plus, and it will allow them to be able to come, maybe even occasionally show up in a live action film without having to have their own background film to tell their full story because we'll get it in Disney Plus in 30 minutes, 60 minutes or less, you know what I'm saying? So this is actually pretty cool. I'm looking forward to more, and I can't wait till episode 2. Also, if you watch them when they first premiere and you watch them by yourself, or you just want to talk about them with somebody, I will be up at 2 a.m. when the new episodes drop, and we will do a live watch along on here on YouTube. So if that's something that you're interested in, please come on by. We definitely have a few people that come by and we sit and talk and we BS about it. We oftentimes talk about many other things, but we do talk about the episodes as a whole and how they affect, or just our feelings about what we think is going, or just how we liked it or if we didn't like it. Thumbs up, thumbs down, all that good stuff. So if you appreciate this and you like it, definitely give the video a thumbs up, share it to your friends and family. Also, if you're new to the channel and you like what you see, please hit that subscribe button as well as your notification bell. My name is Nonpfixion. You have a wonderful day, night, evening, morning, noon, wherever you are in the world today. I have to sneeze. I appreciate you. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace, love, and I'm out because I'm really trying to hold this sneeze and close this video. Appreciate you guys. We out.